Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carrie. As a matchmaker and a dating coach, I speak daily with people who want to share their life with a romantic partner. But I also meet plenty of men and women who are quite happy being alone and have decided they don't want to make any compromises. I know some of you are here. They don't want to include another person in their everyday life. I find it interesting that people assume we all want a partner, especially people who currently have a partner or spouse, or people who want to meet and partner themselves. They assume everybody wants what they do. But there are a lot of good reasons that some of us choose to live life as a single person, as a first choice, not a fallback decision. You should know that this has nothing to do with age. People in midlife or beyond often have very similar desires to what we see with people in their late 20s and 30s who, for numerous reasons, have either embraced or succumbed to single life. In this episode, I want to focus on how people come to the decision that they want to enjoy life as a single person indefinitely, and the reasons that this is an appealing choice for some of them. If that's at all interesting, I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. You might be surprised by how many people I speak to have made that decision against marrying. Who am I talking to? Friends, family, friends of friends, kids' friends, people outside their social circles. And then, of course, I'm always reading and talking to people, starting conversations with strangers. And sometimes I reach out to potential matches for a current matchmaking client, only to have them tell me that they're not dating. They've actually decided not to date. So single people are my specialty, matchmaker, so obviously. Once they partnered up, we usually part ways and my work is done. Folks in their 20s and 30s, people who married once, then find themselves divorced in their 40s or 50s, people who make it all the way to 60 without ever having tied the knot. This group also includes people who have had a partner, but sadly their partners passed away. So age isn't a determining factor about who chooses to remain unattached, and the reasons vary. The biggest complaint from these singles who aren't searching is that their friends and relatives are constantly asking if they're seeing someone, inquiring as to when they're going to be married. Really, people, everybody needs to stop doing this. It's nearly as bad as asking a stranger when she's expecting. You only need to have one person embarrass you by saying they're not even pregnant to stop doing that. So let me be the thing that makes you refrain from asking personal questions of singles just because you don't know or see them being partnered. So I have 13 points to make, and number one is that being single is not seen as a curse to many singles. There's a freedom that comes with not living your life according to somebody else's schedule or having to incorporate their thoughts and opinions into the decisions that you're making. Not having to compromise is a plus for a lot of people. Number two, the research seems to be contradictory, but some current studies and most previous studies demonstrated that while married men tend to live longer than single fellas, it's not the same for women. Single women have traditionally lived longer than their married counterparts. I believe much of this has to do with the fulfillment that they find through the support and available time that they have to spend with family and friends. And I'm going to explain more of that in I think number 4. But guys, those married fellas get an extra 4 years to hang out on the planet. Number 3, solitude leads to creativity. Studies have found that people who have the peace and quiet in their surroundings, they have time to be much more creative. So in reverse, we might be able to infer that people who are very creative might value their alone time without the distraction of someone else who's around all the time. Number 4, singles who aren't married have more time for other social relationships. They also have more time for their studies, for continued learning, and they have closer relationships with their friends. Obviously, relationships are dependent on the effort that you put into them, and when you can invest in your friendships, they're often more fulfilling. So this goes not only for romantic relationships, but also friends in this case. You're closer to people you spend more time with and who has more time than a single person. Number 5 is that people who don't have a partner are actually more likely to travel on the weekends. They're more likely to go out exploring to areas that they've never been and to see friends and family more often than people who are partnered. Number 6, if you're single, you're more likely to pursue passions, your hobbies, and to explore new interests. Many people think it's lonely to be alone, but the truth is you can be with a person, the wrong person, And that's a much more lonely feeling, to feel disconnected from somebody that you're supposed to feel the opposite for. So I think most people, if given the choice, would rather be alone with positive things in their life than that feeling of a heavy heart and feeling lonely and partnered at the same time. Number 8 is that singles sleep better. I don't think I have to go into much detail here beyond but I've known quite a few couples, married and living together, who have found that it's been great for their relationship if they can sleep in separate rooms. Snoring is really hard for a person who's awake to fall asleep to. You shouldn't have to sleep on the sofa just because you don't snore and you're a lighter sleeper. So a lot of people have taken to having separate bedrooms. It's a trend. It comes and goes. Number 9, one of the reasons I always enjoy driving so much is for the alone time. I always find it and have found it relaxing, and sometimes I choose to not even put on music just so I can be alone with my thoughts. Living alone allows you to choose to be alone with yourself, to think or not to think. You have that choice. Number 10, if you're a person who likes things a certain way, I always enjoy my house on the days that I've mopped the floor. Well, when you live alone, they stay that way. Nobody coming around and trying to mess up what you just cleaned. And nobody leaving crumbs on the kitchen counter, dripping their beverage in front of the refrigerator on the floor, leaving their toothpaste spittle on the bathroom mirror. If you're a neat freak, it makes life a lot easier. You're cleaning up like a fraction of the amount of time you do from when you're partnered. Number 11, living by yourself, there are no compromises to be made. You get to decide when you eat, when to go to bed, when to take a nap if you want, what to do with your free time. And some people are just really comfortable having their own rhythm that doesn't include taking somebody else's time, their schedule, or their feelings into account. Not having to have dinner on the table at 5 or 6 or 7. I eat dinner at 9 sometimes. Nobody's here to tell me I can't. Go to bed at 10. I've never done that, actually, not since I was in school. But I could, that's the point. Or I could go to bed at 4. I probably will. Number 12, being alone allows your time for self-care, whether that's reading, creating, meditating, or spending time with other people. You have more of that, obviously. 13 might be surprising to some of you. Single people have more sex, according to statistics. So it looks like you have a choice to make if you're single currently and looking for a partner. What's important to you? And then I just wanted to point out that every once in a while, it's all right to feel lonely. That's okay. You live alone, so you're allowed to actually even cry if it gets to that point. There's nothing wrong with having that emotion, and you actually have the ability to express it in private should you choose to. Single people who live alone and are happy alone, they don't feel like they need to be completed. I know that a lot of people don't, even when they're looking for a partner, but a lot of people speak in terms of wanting to find their other half. Their half and the other person's half is going to create a whole. And together as a couple, that's the prime goal, is to be coupled. So I think it's important to understand that people who aren't looking to partner already feel pretty self-contained and kind of feel like they have everything they need within themselves and in their surroundings. So it's something to know about people that you might not if you don't hang around with people who are single. And then finally, never say never. The cool thing will be that if you change your mind, it'll be because you want to share your life with somebody, not because you need to. You're allowed to feel one way now and feel another way in the future. So you're not ever stuck in a decision. It's your life. You get to make up the rules as you go along. Hope you found that interesting or helpful. Give Mom the thumbs up. She's requesting, if you don't mind, I'd appreciate that subscribe button getting a little before you leave. I'll look forward to seeing you back here again soon. Oh, here's an episode you might like. If you have a couple more minutes, you might want to check that out. Really appreciate you stopping by today, and I'll look forward to next time. Until then, thank you again, and have a good one.